Welcome back, everybody. As usual, our intro promo is anything less than professional. I was clicking too many buttons trying to get everything going so it would play proper, and I had, at the last second, I had jumped over to the other page to either mute or pause the live video, and I was clicking too fast and it didn't register, so I had to jump back over, and I was getting feedback, just like last week. Anyway, how you doing, guys?
Pretty good, bro.
Oh, doing quite a bit better than I have been for the last few weeks. Getting my strength back, feeling much more excited and energetic.
So, Amy, do you want to bring everybody up to speed on what's happening with your housemate? Or do you want to leave that in the private realm?
Well, she is gone to the hospital. She is not well.
She's 80 years old.
She's 80 years old. She has a number of health issues, and right now it's very touch and go whether she's going to make it or not. So we're hoping for the best, but planning for the worst.
Well, nobody gets out alive. We all hope it works out one way or the other.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't really know what else to say about it unless you want to give out any more details.
Well, I don't know what else there is to give except that, when she goes, I'm probably at some point not going to have a place to live.
That fucking sucks.
Yep.
You were saying in Skype, you were talking to Gandalf that she is not breathing properly or not getting O2 or something like that. Not respirating.
Yeah, they said that her breathing was superficial, which meant that she was not exchanging the CO2 for the oxygen. However, they put her on oxygen and she seemed to stabilize, and they took her off the oxygen. So she's doing better now. I mean, it's up and down. It's been up and down since she went into the hospital. I mean, one day they're talking about palliative care, and the next day they're talking rehabilitation, and then the next, I mean, it's crazy and stressful. Well, she has her son, actually an ex-boyfriend of mine and a good friend. And so, he's over here and at the hospital quite a bit, taking care of things. And so, and to be fair, I would be staying at his place, but he's a hoarder and has a studio apartment. So you can imagine, there's no place for me there. And that's why I've been staying at his mom's.
Well, we all hope it works out for the best one way or the other.
Thank you so much.
So, Gandalf, what you been up to lately? You got your house on the market?
Yeah, so been dealing with that, and I just got back up from London and South Ontario. Not London, England, London, Ontario.
Oh, we got a London here in Georgia.
How big is it?
That's about, I think, population 7. It's pretty small.
Well, London's like the biggest town or city down in southern Ontario. I think it's like a couple 100,000 people. But yeah, like down there, I was on Lake Huron by the like just at a national park down there.
So, listen, I'm gonna be addressing a comment that I didn't respond to yet. I've been working my ass off. And by the way, I got a story to tell you about the work that I've been doing. It's kind of funny and interesting, and you guys are going to get a laugh out of it. And but I've been just dragging ass, man. I'm doing this bathroom remodel, and I get this comment on, the video. I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm going to do a screen share in a moment. The video I put up the other day about the CONHWC music being played on the TV show Dancing, So You Think You Can Dance TV show.
Yeah, man, I've been looking forward to talking about this. It's crazy, bro.
Okay, I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. First of all, that particular video that I posted, see, we haven't talked to Ian in a long time. I'll just back up briefly and let everybody know. Ian, when Ian and I started this CONHWC show, we were thinking, we just started off with me and him hanging out like Josh used to do, just regular hangouts and chat about whatever. And then, we would sit with the cameras on and we would smoke weed and drink and just, smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol. And we got to the point where we were like, we should clean up our act, give it a name, call it a show, invite guests, and then, create a promo and some theme music. And we were looking at juxtapose some of his music as potentially being, the theme music. And then we looked at some of that, and Ian was like, why don't you check this out? Because Ian has this app on his computer where it allows him to tinker around with like copyright-free sound bites. And he can just, rearrange them and shit like that and make his own little songs. And he has several little jingles that he came up with, and we settled on the one that we've been using for 2 years. And then, the other day I hear this shit in the background on the TV on fucking So You Think You Can Dance show, and my ears perked up big time, and that's when I made that video. And we haven't talked to Ian in forever. And so, like, right after I posted that video, within about 2 hours, I get a text message from Veronica, his wife, and she said, "Can you give us a call?" So I called, and he let me know that he reminded me that it was free, copyright-free music on his app, and which I knew. I knew he had an app, and I knew it was pretty well copyright-free sound bites that he could tinker with. But what I thought that he had altered the sound bites, and he told me on the phone, he said, no, that whole violin section was completely unaltered. He didn't tinker with it. He didn't rearrange the notes, nothing. He just used what they gave. And so that's when I went, oh. And he said it's a fairly popular app, and he said it's no surprise that you would hear it somewhere else, because it's just like, it's kind of like Annie Logical, that intro that she uses. It's like a free, copyright-free app thing, and she's not the only one that uses it. So that's where that stands. So there's no copyright claim. Nobody stole our music, and so I just want to kind of put that to bed.
Man, I seriously would have loved to see your expression, man, when that started playing.
Dude,
that would have been great.
It was shock and awe, bro. I mean, my head did like the Blair, what's her name from Exorcist?
Linda Blair.
My head did a full 180. You would have thought I was a gray horned owl, man. I was like, what the fuck? And Nancy didn't pick up on it. I was like, listen. And she's like, what? Because it's kind of soft and they're talking loud over it. And I'm like, listen, that's my music. She didn't hear it. So I had to pull it up on Comcast On Demand to record it and make that video. But sure enough, it's exactly the same clip, and they didn't steal it, but it was still interesting to hear it on TV.
Well, man, it's a good thing you got a hold of Ian, man. You would have had no idea, and we'd still be tripping out about that. Hey, are they going to copyright strike us for this shit or something?
Well, actually, interestingly, several of my uploads got not a copyright strike, but they monetized. Yeah, a notice, and they monetized my videos, and I went and I challenged it, and the person making the claim apologized and said, not a problem, and it was removed, and no more monetization on my videos. Which
Ian had something similar happen to him over that music. And he either got a copyright strike or he got a copyright notice. And he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is copyright free stuff on the free app that I got. And we were all scratching our heads going, how could they even possibly think about copyright on this, considering where it all came from, where the music came from? So, I mean,
yeah. They
tried giving Ian crap over one of his uploads of the show because of the music, and I think he disputed it, and he, they took it off or whatever. But it was just a head scratcher. It's like, how could you even try or think about? I mean, it was totally free, copyright free music, and there was nobody to claim anything because it was this company that creates these free sound bites for this fucking app for people to tinker with.
Totally insane.
Okay, so I'm going to do a screen share, and I want to show you guys, because under that same video, Laz responded or commented, and he agreed that he thought, he heard it. He said it was the same music. So here's Laz's comment. And Gandalf, you're going to need to help me out here in a minute, because this ties into some trouble you've been having. So you can see here, Laz just simply says, yeah, it sounds really close to yours, 99% sure it is. And that's all he said, right? And then look who shows up. PhD Craven Moorhead. He says, cool, more free advice from Castro's tent. I'm loving it. Now,
what does he mean by Castro's tent?
Laz is Cuban, right?
Yeah, because Laz is Cuban, and Laz is always doing his live streams under that tarp because he's in Florida and it rains a lot and it's hot and sunny, and he sits outside because he does a lot of gardening, right? He's always working outside,
right?
And so to protect him from the sun and from the rain, he sits under this tarp thing that he's got set up.
Right. Well, that makes sense, right?
Okay, so China started giving Laz some crap, and I don't even know all the details, right? I don't even know. But China has been on Laz's case lately, and I'm pretty sure that this guy Craven Moorhead is buying into China's whatever his problem is. So I said, what's your problem, Craven? This is the second time, and by the way, this is the second time I've seen him type this almost exact comments referring to Castro's tent. I said, it's the second time I've seen you in two different locations. I said, are you trolling, Laz? Is there a good reason? So that's all I asked. And so he comes back and he says, well, yeah, I got a fucking problem, mate. Laz is a hypocrite. I've tried telling him nicely, thoughtfully, but the guy blocks and deletes comments by his own admission. You obviously have not paid attention the last few days on the tubes, and I can't blame you for that. So, I mean, at least thanks for giving me benefit of the doubt there, because I haven't. I don't know what the deal is with China and Laz. I know tiny little bits.
I think that he, too, made a comment on one of Montegraph's vids.
Oh,
okay. And I guess making a comment on somebody's vid makes you a shill.
I don't know. I guess maybe it depends on what you said, which by the way, I'm going to get to Gandalf in a second about that. Because apparently Gandalf was on China's radar too. And Gandalf did the same thing, right? Gandalf, you left a comment on Monograph's channel. What did you say?
I forget exactly what I said, but it was something probably along the line of that is the beginning of them going after all of us, because that's the idea I got when Alex Jones went down, that it was basically kind of like the dam breaking. And once they take down Alex Jones, they're then going to disseminate down to the smaller channels one by one.
That's maybe debatable. I mean, you may be right, but I don't see that as a landmark.
But no, like that's basically what I was commenting. But I must have commented on maybe like 20 channels when that all started up. I was actually going to do I think I did do a live stream on it, but yeah, that's basically what happened. I just commented on one of Montagraph's videos.
But you weren't like in support of what Monograph had to say, or were you? I mean,
no, just more like to talk to people in the comments. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. But apparently showing up and leaving a comment was enough to get on China's radar.
Yeah, so he thought, I don't know, that I was taking Montagraph's side or something like that, I imagine. Like I sent China an invitation to come and talk to me about it, privately or publicly. If he thinks I'm taking some guy's side or something, you know what I mean?
Okay, so Craven goes on to say here, he says, I'll back up. He says, deletes comments by his own admission, which, by the way, I have deleted comments, not many, but I have on occasion deleted some comments that are clearly specifically designed, and you can tell by reading them, they're designed to stir up shit and waste people's time and derail a conversation. And they're comments by people that I know to be trolls or sock accounts. And they're specifically not there for any other reason than to derail conversation or to stir up shit or to just be a fucking asshole. And I'll tolerate, if you want to be an asshole in my comment section, I'll tolerate some of it. And you can look through my comment section. There are people who left some pretty nasty comments that I have not deleted. But then again, on occasion, it's my discretion. It's like being in my house or my living room. If I have a party and somebody says something that I don't like, I have every right to kick them out of my house. That's not censoring. I'm not infringing on their free speech. This is my house, right? This is my channel, and I'll decide. Right. I'll decide what stays and what goes, and that's that. Like I've blocked. There's like 3 or 4 people that I've blocked. I blocked Michael Resnicki and his 21 sock accounts. At least the 21 accounts that I could identify. I've blocked Dana W. after weeks and weeks and weeks of arguing in my comment section. I finally blocked Dana, and then fellow man. I blocked him, and then I unblocked him, and then I blocked him again, and then I unblocked him again, and then him and I went round and round the third time, and I finally blocked him for the third time, and he's going to stay blocked. So I have blocked people, and I have deleted comments.
I'm going to be honest with you, with the exception of one comment that I felt breached the terms of service stuff from YouTube. I have never deleted a comment on my channel ever. The one comment, I didn't delete it per se, I reported it. And I think it got deleted through that process, or at least didn't show up on the vid anymore. But beyond that, I've never blocked anyone, and I have never even Michael, he can come and yap, but he gave up because he couldn't get a rise out of me. I just kept laughing and telling him he was right.
I've only actually deleted comments like 2 or 3 times, and there's only 2 or 3 people that I've actually blocked from commenting. So other than that, for the most part, you can show up in my comments and say almost anything you want, and I'll even tolerate some bullshit up to a point, and that's just how it's going to be. So anyway,
yeah.
So I asked Craven, I said, what's your problem? Do you have a good reason why you're trolling Laz? So he says he deletes comments. He says, you're obviously not paying attention. He says, Laz or Miguel is a loudmouth, opinionated, comma, and by the way, the space and the comma is out of place. Okay, I'm going to start from the beginning. Laz or Miguel is a loudmouthed, opinionated, comma, his only, comma, commie bastard in my opinion, comma, he's, quote, burnt toast on this platform now, and I couldn't be happier. That's like one of the most poorly constructed sentences I've ever seen.
I have to say, it's not particularly articulate.
It doesn't even make any fucking sense. It's just a rambling ad hominem is all that is.
Yes.
And so the next sentence isn't any better. He says, he did it to Laz, comma, space, comma, double space, by appointing himself the Svengali of the Twoofer community and blabbing himself right off the stage. So, first of all, the sentence starts off with, he did it to Laz. What are you talking about, Phil? PhD, Craven, what are you talking about? He did it to, who did what to Laz? By appointing himself the Svengali of Twoofer community. I wonder if Craven is talking about Laz's live stream where Laz is talking about himself being the godfather of the truth community. And that was a big joke. Because, I mean, look, if China can appoint himself the sheriff of YouTube, Laz can certainly appoint himself the godfather. And I was in that stream, and I appointed myself Laz's consigliere. If Laz is going to be godfather, I'm consigliere. And we had a laugh, and it was all a big joke. And what does it mean? It means fucking nothing, right? It means nothing.
Yep. I love it.
So honestly, I think there's a lot of people that are really on this fucking side of YouTube. There's a lot of just like really uptight like dicks that can't take either jokes, or they're just super serious, or they're just out of their fucking minds or something. Like, because I'm getting weird channels making videos about me saying I'm a fucking Israeli agent. Like, there's just fucked up people on the side of YouTube.
Well,
you don't sound like a Canuck at all.
Well, you know, if you're gonna make assertions or accusations, you need to have some fucking evidence, especially when you're asked for evidence. So I asked Craven, what's his problem? And so far, the only thing he said that he's hypocritical because he blocks, deletes comments by his own admission. And so, I mean, he's calling him Castro's tent. He says, so yeah, I found that C3, meaning China. I found that C3 video on Castro's tent hysterical. Try laughing sometimes. It's better than the shit show on YouTube. So, I mean, I'm fully aware of the shit show. And yes, we laugh. We have plenty of laughter around here. We're not beyond sarcasm and jokes. But Castro's tent, okay, I get it. Laz is under a tarp. And he's Cuban, so Castro, I get it. But whatever China's problem is with Laz, I don't know about for sure. I don't know the details, unless it was like Gandalf. Maybe he left a fucking comment on Monty's video. I don't know.
I think that's what happened. I think that's what happened. He too commented on Monty's video, and this put China into a major spin.
Okay, so Laz said, thanks, Rufus. And Celtic Shaman said, what you get that PhD in, Craven? And and Craven comes back, he says, Laz Valdez, see, there you go again, Castro. I've been here 3 years, and my support has been proven to be credible, not deflecting commie infiltrators like you. You dismiss others' concerns and comments as only your own talking points are valid, right? So let me break that down. He says, I've been here 3 years and my support has been proven to be credible. First of all, your support is not credible. There's no credibility in support, because you could be a shill and support somebody. That doesn't make you credible. Just because you support somebody, like if PhD Craven, if he wants to support me and my show or us or what we're doing here, and he supports us, that's fine. There's nothing credible about support. Okay. I will say that so far, and because Craven's been around my comments and chats for a while, he's not created any problems. So, I mean, I'll give him that. But that doesn't make him credible. He could still be a fucking shill in waiting. I don't know. But let me see, not deflecting commie infiltrators like you. So, Craven, if you're listening, I'm going to ask you outright to provide some evidence for what you mean by commie infiltrator. You're going to need to provide some evidence because that's quite an accusation right there.
Yeah.
There is no evidence, man. It's just bullshit.
He says, you dismiss others' concerns and comments as only your own talking points are valid. Now, that may be partly true because Laz and I had our little spat, and when I tried to communicate with, you remember over the subjective and objective,
Yep.
that thing over the definitions. The next day I was in Laz's stream and I was talking to him about, definitions are important because communication breaks down. It's not effective communication. And Laz was asking everybody else. He was like, what are you talking about? Am I communicating effectively right now? But see, he missed the point. He missed my point. And Craven might be making a semi-valid point here. And look, we're human beings. We're not all perfect. And I don't fault Laz, whatever. I don't even care. It's water under the bridge. I don't fucking care. And then Craven follows up by saying, you ain't nobody worth following around, Joker. Hero to zero overnight. Hilarious. So a bunch more ad hominem. No evidence. Just a bunch of assertions and accusations.
No substance.
So then Craven responds to Celtic Shaman, and he says, you want attention, clown? High impact flicks, Brendan O'Connell, activist news. Yeah, nice discernment there, pal. You are dismissed. I got news for you, Craven. I watch high impact flicks, and I used to watch Brendan O'Connell, and I'm still subscribed, and every now and then I'll watch Brendan O'Connell. And just because I watch doesn't mean that I support. I mean, I'm still subscribed to SGT Report because it's nice to know what your enemies are up to, right? I mean, Mark from Global Agenda, we called out SGT like last year, and I was like, I'm done with SGT. I'm going to unsubscribe. And Mark was like, no, don't unsubscribe. Keep an eye on him. And he was right. So just because you're subscribed to somebody doesn't mean you are given their support.
Well, man, what happened to this whole truth movement was I think it's just become so discombobulated at this point. Like, people are no longer going after like the military industrial complex. People are no longer looking into 9/11. People are now just going on these side topics. They're infighting, and it's just bullshit now, man. Yeah,
it's a giant pile of drama, and it's no fun. So that was like this. Let me see. It was it says 1 day ago when this was a couple of days ago, but the comment here says 1 day. So Craven comes. I didn't say anything back. I just read his reply, and I had problems with it, and I didn't feel like typing out all the reasons why I had problems with his comment, and I was tired. I'm remodeling, and it's kicking my ass. My muscles are sore. I'm fucking exhausted. And so Craven comes back and he says, no reply, huh, Rufus? Thought so. So when I saw that, I quickly typed out, I'll fucking reply when I have time and not before. I have issues with your answer. I'll get to it. Take a pill. You're not the only one person or thing that needs my attention. And then I edited. I said, tune in Friday. I'll address your shit then. So there, I addressed it. And then on the show promo that I uploaded yesterday, Craven shows up again because Laz commented. He said, I'm looking forward. I'll be in the, listening in. Craven showed up again, was trolling Laz, and joked again about Castro's tent, and then proceeded to remind me that I had not responded. So it looks like Craven didn't get the notification. We all know YouTube notification sucks. Sometimes you don't get notifications for comments.
Big time. Sucks.
We all know notification sucks. So Craven has the nerve to come and tell me, oh, no reply, Rufus? Huh, thought so. Maybe it was a notification issue. Maybe I was taking my time replying. Maybe I didn't have time to even fucking look at it. Maybe I felt like replying later when I had more time to type that shit out. And then when I did reply to Craven and said what I said about tuning in Friday, here it is. He says, is there going to be any free advice from Castro's tent? You never returned my post last night, Rufus. So maybe Craven didn't get my reply where I said tune in Friday, because I didn't get his reply. I had to go check that comment section. So I don't know if the guy's intentionally trying to stir up shit. I mean, he's a human. I don't know if he's a shill. He probably has his own opinions. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's wrong. Probably not right. But if he's buying into China going after Laz, I don't know what the deal is with those two, unless, like I said, it was a fucking comment thing. So other than that, I don't know what to say. I'm done. I've addressed those two issues. The music is not copyright. I have no copyright claim. And Craven has now been answered, and we can move on to bigger and better things.
Woohoo!
That's the key, man. Enough of this fucking drama bullshit, man. You really think a bunch of small YouTube channels are like, this is what I find so crazy about this, that there's these people that are accusing all these people of being shills with like a couple hundred subscribers. Like, it's fucking out there, man.
I will just say one more thing to Craven. If you really do have a PhD, you might want to work on your sentence structure. I think your instructors and your the dean of your college is not going to be pleased with what you've been typing lately. So there. So you guys want to hear a funny story?
Tell it, bro.
Yes.
So I'm doing this remodel. I'm doing this bathroom remodel. Complete gut and remodel job. Turned a bathtub into a walk-in shower, retiled and re-walled, and new everything. I completely gutted the whole bathroom down to the studs, and then replaced some rotten subfloor and plumbing and everything. Okay, so I get to the point. I wanted to show this to you, but I haven't pulled the video off my phone yet. I've just been busy and tired. I get it all. I'm about 75% of the way, put back together. I got all my shower tiles are installed. I haven't grouted anything yet. I got the shower floor tiles installed and half of the wall tiles installed. And I leave for the day, and I come back the next day. Well, I get a text message from my client who says that her sister is going to be spending the night. So if I see her, don't be surprised. So, okay. So I show up the next morning to start work again, and the sister is there. The sister's name is Nor. Well, Nor, she didn't just spend the night by herself. Her husband was with her. I didn't know that. He was already out of the house and off to work. So I show up, and she's there. Hello, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Bathroom looks nice. Thank you, yada, yada. I open the door. I go into the bathroom to pick up where I left off, and the floor of the shower is wet. And I'm like, what the hell did you? I was like, Nora, did you? I was going to ask if she turned the shower on by accident. And then I realized I hadn't even installed the handles or anything. So she couldn't even have turned it on if she wanted to. And so, but it's wet, dude. There's fucking, it's like water. It's all wet on the shower floor. And I hadn't even grouted it yet. And then I looked closer. And when I looked closer, I could smell it. It smelled like pee. And so I was like, Nora, do you have a dog? Did you bring a dog with you? I said, did you come in here? Did you do it? She said, I just opened the door and took some pictures to send to my sister. I said, do you have a dog? And she's like, no. I'm like, you didn't do anything else but take, and she's no. I'm like, wondering why it's wet in here. Let me back up one step. When I showed up, the doors were wide open. First thing in the morning, the front door and the side door wide open. And when I pulled in, I was like, oh my God, did I forget to close the doors when I left yesterday? I freaked out. And when I walked in, she goes, do you smell that? I'm like, yeah, it smells a little funny. What's going on? She says, the house was full of gas. She said, I made something to eat last night, and I think I forgot to shut the burner off and went to bed. And I woke up this morning and fucking gas filled the house. And so she had the attic fan on and the doors open. So, okay. And then I opened the door in the bathroom, and I'm like, what's going on? And do you have a dog? And no, I don't have a dog. So then I said, was there anybody else here? Do you have a boyfriend or something? Did somebody else spend the night with you? She said, my husband. And I said, and did he come in here? She's like, I don't know. And then she told me that he, that morning, she woke up and her sister had like a bag of ocular stuff, like glasses and just lenses. I don't know. And she woke up and her sister's shit was like laid out on the counter, almost like in a display pattern. And she was like, what's going on? Did you do this? And what? And his reply was, I don't know, maybe I was sleepwalking. And she's like, what the fuck? You don't sleepwalk. So then I go into the bathroom and it's all wet and it smells like pee. And I'm like, was someone else here? And she says, my boyfriend, my husband. And I said, and I'm looking at the pattern, and I might try to upload it while I'm live. I hope it doesn't crash my computer. You guys got to see this. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna plug it in and see if it works. You could absolutely tell. Oh, you know what? I can't because I've got all my USB ports used up right now. But you could tell the pattern. There's a little wet spot outside the shower, and then there was a little bit of wet, and it was kind of yellow on the curb, which has got a marble top going across the curb. And then the whole center of the shower was wet, and it was even wet a little ways up the wall. And then the very far side left and right of the floor of the shower was actually not wet. And I thought to myself, somebody stood here and took a fucking piss. And I was shocked. I was blown away. I was like, no fucking way. This dude walked in here and pissed in my shower.
Not fun.
So then I show it to her, and she's like, yeah, that's piss. And she agrees, and she could smell it, and she could see it. And I got video. I was soaking it up with paper towel, and I made her clean it and rinse it off. But, and then she started telling me that he's on these drugs. He's on these mood-enhancing antidepressant SSRI drugs, because she said, you know, we had a home invasion a couple of months ago and he was shot in the leg. And
oh, wow.
So he's like, they had him on these pain medications, and then they had side effects, and so they got him on antidepressants, and then they just switched his medication. And I went, oh, this fucker was sleepwalking. And if you guys have seen the commercial, Amy, I know you don't watch TV, but if you watch the commercials, these pharmaceutical commercials on these drugs, they list huge list of side effects, and sleepwalking is one of them.
Yeah, much.
So the dude's on these SSRI drugs, and he got up in the middle of the night, walked into my half fucking constructed bathroom and took a piss on my tile.
Jeez.
So is that's like a side effect of taking this medication, is walking around and pissing on floors?
Oh, you know what? It's not just that, but he also rearranged his sister's stuff on the counter. And then after it was all over with, after I wasn't angry and calmed down, when I realized that he was, you know, it wasn't out of malice. He wasn't being a dick. And I thought about it for a second. I went, oh, Nora, I bet you weren't the one who turned the gas on. I bet that was him.
That'd be fucking
probably.
That would
probably,
be really
yeah.
tricky to be in the same house with somebody that might turn on the gas. Like, who knows what else, or piss on the floor. Who knows what else they might get up to, man.
No, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I told her, you better get him off those fucking drugs. This is not working. You're in danger.
Yeah, I'm thinking, huh? If he's turning on the gas in the middle of the night, oh yeah, not good.
She thought she left the burner on because she made some food and she thought she left the burner on. And now I'm thinking, I bet it was him that was fucking around in the kitchen and turned that shit on.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean,
if he was sitting there laying things out
and then pissing in my shower.
Yeah.
I'm betting, 90-1 that it was him that turned the gas on.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that too.
Okay, so Everybody have a laugh. I got peed on. Not indirectly. I indirectly got peed on. That was definitely a first, man. I mean, I've done a lot of remodeling, and I've never showed up on a job to find human urine on my work.
No.
Pretty fucked up.
Not.
Hey, Freddie's in the chat. What's up, Freddie? World Peas and Reality Check. And Adelaide, my girl Adelaide, is in the chat. Hey, guys, I want to say hello to everybody and all the newcomers. Arno Carner, I'm not sure if I've seen you around, but welcome. Rob S. Didn't you just recently subscribe to me? Pablo's in the chat. Hi, guys. Land Raver. Cool. SJDSH Journey. Cool. Yeah, we got some new people in the chat. Nice. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Let's get to business, you guys.
Sounds like a plan.
Let me see. I'm going to turn some lights on and get... Okay, have you guys ever noticed that Thursdays are like really busy on YouTube? It's like everybody's uploading shit on Thursdays. You ever noticed?
I hadn't noticed, but okay, I'll take your word.
Well, it just, at least to me, at least the people I subscribe to, Thursday is like a seriously busy day. Like Dr. Farrell, he has his Death Star community. He does news and views from the Farium on Thursday. And I don't listen to Jimmy Church much anymore, but I do listen to Jimmy Church on Thursday when he has John Rappaport. And it seems like all my other subscriptions are busy uploading shit on. It just seems like a busy day. I didn't know if you guys noticed. On Thursday is a really busy day for me on YouTube.
Yeah, not so much Friday or Saturday. Most people are doing stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Saturday it dies, but Thursday is like the busiest day of the week, and it's been consistent, like months and months and months. This has been going on. It's just something I noticed. Not a big deal.
I'll have to pay more attention. I guess my problem is that, being unable to work and not having a job, therefore, I totally lose track of what day it is. And fortunately, I've managed to keep Fridays in my scope.
Okay. So tonight we're going to be talking about 5G, microwave radiation technology, the loss of privacy. Those are going to be our main topics as we move forward here. And I'm going to start off with a George Orwell quote, kind of famous quote. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stomping on a human face forever. That's George Orwell quote. And,
yep.
And he wrote that book in 1964, by the way.
1946. No, 1948.
48. It was the opposite.
48.
Opposite of 84. Right.
Yep.
Okay, so let me see. I got that out of the way. Craven, got him out of the way. Okay, so when it comes to like the loss of privacy, which is something I wanted to talk about because there's been some issues between my cell phone and conversation I was having with Mom. For the newcomers, my mom is awake, and her and I have some really interesting conversations lately.
Awesome.
So headline yesterday, Thursday, Google admits that some apps track you even after you go into your settings and tell it to stop doing that. Even after you ask it to stop doing it, Google admits that some apps track you after you ask it to stop.
Well, that doesn't surprise me at all, honestly.
No.
If they're going to track you at some times, they're going to be tracking these phones at all times. It does sound pretty sketchy, you know what I mean? But it's not surprising that they're able to do this. Like, didn't it come out years ago with Edward Snowden that they can turn your phone's microphone on,
even when it's off?
Yeah, even if it's off, it can be turned on.
Yes, remotely. And the camera.
Yeah, so don't be surprised by any of this information coming out.
Well, I'm not surprised. I'm just reminding people and putting it out. But by the way, this was a headline on the television. This was one of those ticker on the bottom of the news broadcast on cable. It was just a regular headline that came across my TV yesterday. And I was planning on talking about this stuff, and bam, that fucking headline came out. Google admits some apps continue to track you even after you turn off the tracking.
Yeah, man, dude, I heard that on the radio when I was driving down to London on the 401. I'm just sitting there and listening to the radio, and that's what I heard, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Okay, so we're all being tracked.
I don't consent to that.
Well, it doesn't matter. They've consented for you.
I understand that they think they can do it anyway. But I want to make it, I just want to establish that I don't consent to it.
So the other day, I was watching a Grindall 61 video. You know, I really appreciate Grindall's activism. He's extremely active, and you know, he's up government's ass literally every day, and I really appreciate the work he does on that front. But lately he's been palling around with this guy Fullerton Informer, who is extremely religious and a fucking flat earther. And Grindall is pretty religious too, I think. So I'm almost had it up to here with Grindall, but I really do appreciate Grindall's activism. Anyway, and I might play a portion of his video. I might just go ahead and do that because it's going to lead us off. It might be a good segue. Because I've been listening to Barry Trower all day today in preparation to talk about 5G and microwave technology. Barry Trower is the go-to guy, man. Like seriously the go-to guy. If you want to know, and I left a link in the comment description under this video to the full lecture of Barry Trower at the Open Mind Conference. Which is one of many interviews and lectures and speeches that he does. So if anybody's interested in literally the gruesome details of what microwave technology and 5G is going to do and can do, what it can, I'm going to talk about a lot of it, but you want all the details, there's a description, link in the description for Barry Trower. Let me see, Grindall. There he is, Grindall 61. I want to play a portion of Grindall's video because he was talking about in California, in LA County, they are, I think here it is right here. The fucking TSA is now getting involved in public transit. So everybody.
I heard that you were going to sit in front of CNN for 16 hours, but I thought.
Wait for the ad, sorry. So everybody that gets on a bus or a train in California, it now has to go through TSA screening on a daily basis. So I'm going to play a little bit of Grindall. Listen to this shit.
Government does not want you to have a car. They want you to take public transportation. TSA is on record saying we take transportation very seriously. And that's all forms of transportation. We are going into a future where every single day of your life, you are going to be subjected to TSA sexual molestation searches. One of the things that I've theorized for a while, I think the reason why they want us all on a bus is because, you know, you've heard of the Transportation Security Administration, the TSA. Well, they have said that they take the transportation part of their name very seriously, and they eventually want to be in all aspects of transportation. So when they talk about, by 2035, in my opinion, I believe by 2035, if they are allowed to do whatever they want, I think you'll be getting TSA'd every single day to get on that bus.
How do you get people out of their cars unless they feel safe riding in a transit system when all we know is the security of our cars?
I'm going to pause it right there because I need to interject what that chick just said. How do we get people out of their cars unless they feel safe riding the transit system when all they've known is the security of their cars? Sweetheart, I got news for you. It's not about security. It's about convenience. It's not about security. People don't ride the bus. I mean, you know, people don't avoid riding the bus because they don't feel safe. They avoid riding the bus because it's not convenient to walk outside in the weather and stand and wait for a fucking bus when it's cold or hot or raining. That's why. So here, let me just continue for a few minutes.
We actually will be deploying in very short order technology to the field that will help us be more effective in screening for explosives and screening for weapons. We all know that terrorism is a major concern across the globe. And
go ahead, Amy.
One other point I'd like to make on that is that sometimes it's not convenient because the nearest have to walk another mile.
You're breaking up terrible, honey. Maybe you got something
okay.
open.
Sometimes the puts you off like a mile and a half away from where you have to be.
Oh fuck! Yeah. Here in Atlanta, Here in Atlanta, the transit system is so absolutely horrific. Many years ago, I had a couple of roommates, and one of my roommates didn't have a vehicle, and he rode his bicycle to the bus stop, which was, I think, a half a mile away. And then he took a bus across town for a job interview, and it took him 7 hours to get there and back.
Eek.
I'm not kidding. It took him all day to go across town for one job interview. So it's not about safety, honey. It's about convenience.
Yes. Let me try that one more time. My CPU seems to be behaving now. What I was saying was sometimes when you get off, you know, when you take a bus, it lets you off like a mile or a mile and a half from where you have to be. There's no convenient station right where you want to go.
Right.
And especially if you have troubles like me walking very far, that becomes problematic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd want a vehicle so that I could go to the door of where I'm going instead of somewhere in the general vicinity, maybe, but you got to walk a while. Anyway, I'm done now. Now that I've got my CPU back for.
All right, I'm just gonna play this for another minute. Listen to what these quote unquote officials have to say.
we want to work with our partners at the local and federal level to do everything that we can to mitigate the risks associated with terrorism. So with that, I'd like to introduce Metro CEO Phil Washington.
Well, thank you so much, Alex. And let me thank everyone for coming out today. Metro is leading the transit industry, the transportation industry, I would say, in the development and deployment of new security technology, thanks to our close partnership with the Transportation Security Administration. So as a surface transportation agency, we have served as a critical needed operational test bed for the TSA to vet new technologies within the public transit sector. Both of our agencies realize that we must embrace this new technology.
Did he say both?
To meet the evolving threat.
Maybe.
Sector that we take very, very seriously. So for the past year, we've worked with TSA on a pilot program to test advanced screening systems on LA County Metro system. In fact, many of you were in the press, have previously covered our earlier passenger screening tests at Union Station and 7th Street Metro Center. We now have the ability to obtain early visual warning of person-borne improvised explosive devices or weapons that are intended to cause mass casualties. And we are the first transportation agency in this country to do so. And while Metro has been a transit industry leader, I'm glad to say that we're again leading the way in the purchase and deployment of the through vision millimeter wave passive screening technology.
There it is. There it is, right there.
Yep. And the new 5G systems that are coming are going to use millimeter waves. That's what they've done with the FCC. They've opened up this spectrum. The FCC's unlicensed these bands, knowing full well the communication systems that emit in this spectrum were developed by the military as crowd control weapons.
All right, that's enough for Fullerton. He's correct, but I hate that guy. Fucking flat Earth.
Yeah, really.
Anyway, he's absolutely correct. And the official just said it right there. They're using millimeter wave, which is the 5G technology, and we're going to be talking about that. And I'm going to be playing. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say one of my observations here. Let's see. Terrorism is manufactured, but they're to manufacture an excuse to do this to us.
You're breaking up.
Hello?
You're breaking up again. Can you hear me? I know my microphone's working. I can see the sound bar. Gandalf?
Sorry.
Amy?
I'll bring it up later. Yes.
Yeah, Amy, you're sounding really terrible right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laz, you're correct, brother. TSA has zero success stopping any terrorist attack. In fact, they've been tested, as far as I know, and they fail every time. There have been people who have officials who have tried to smuggle weapons and shit, and they're successful every time. They have failed every test standard. So
okay, I think my CPU is back to behaving.
Try it.
What I noticed was, okay, you have terrorism, which is manufactured, none of it's real.
Right.
And they're using that as the excuse to push us into this crap. Get us scared. Oh my gosh, we need to be protected. And yeah, I'm very unthrilled by what's going on down there.
Well, it's a win-win for them. It's a win-win-win-win-win because they got the whole citizenry afraid, right? And people don't make good decisions when they're afraid. Am I still screen sharing? Thought I stopped.
No, you're still screen sharing. Okay, there you go. Now you've stopped.
All right. So they got everybody afraid, and people make shitty, terrible decisions when you're afraid, when you're in a state of fear. And then you've got, maybe one of your friends from the down at the lodge, right? Maybe he owns a tech company and they have this new technology, and what are they going to do with it? Who are they going to sell it to? Oh, I know. We'll sell it to the government. In other words, we'll sell it to the people because that's, when the government buys something, they're doing it on our behalf with our money.
That's what we're told, but they're a corporation and they're doing it for their own agendas.
But ultimately, when like a tech company who has developed this backscatter screening, or now they're using millimeter wave screening, they have to sell it to the people, to the citizens, and they do that through the government. And then on top of that, they get the whole added benefit of this extra layer of control. So to them, it's a win-win-win-win situation.
Definitely.
And by the way, Fullerton, as much as I hate that guy, only because he's flat Earth and very religious, but he's correct. The 5G technology, the microwave communication technology, was developed, I think, in the 30s, and it was actually used during the Cold War between America and Russia from the 1950s, starting around the 1950s. Actually, they've been using it around then or before then. as a covert weapon, as a stealth weapon. It was developed by the military originally as a weapon. So so I was talking to Mom about this the other day, and the inventors of microwave technology, the original scientist creators who discovered microwave technology, they discovered it by accident because apparently there was a chocolate bar lying on a table nearby one of their experiments, and the chocolate bar melted. And then that's how they discovered that these microwave technology puts out heat, and it makes things hot, and it melts and cooks. And ever since then, there have been crowd control weapons developed by the military, and you can go online and you can see these.
Yep.
And in fact, mainstream media has even done hit pieces on this and shown the military using it and testing it on their own people and on volunteers, and it burns your skin, which, by the way, reminds me, I think Dr. Judy Wood was correct. Richard D. Hall has an entire, I think, 7-part series on it's like a new 9/11 investigation. Somebody really went out of their way and followed up on the directed energy weapons that Judy Wood has been talking about having been used on 9/11. And there were people on the floors that were impacted by the crash, the explosion, or whatever, the fire, the flames. And most likely the sprinkler system did go off and everybody was wet. And the stories are that there's people who were taking their fucking clothes off, and I think there might be
there's pictures of it. Yes.
Yeah, there are pictures of people with their clothes off, taking their shirt, taking their pants off. And it's like, wait a minute, logically, why would somebody take their clothes off, especially if they were just wet, right?
Yeah.
However, if their direct energy weapons were being used like microwave weapons,
that'd give you motivation.
Yeah, and you got wet clothes on, and then you're being pumped with microwave weaponry, like directed energy weapons. You damn right, you're gonna strip your fucking clothes off. You're burning, you're cooking from the outside in.
Now, has any of this been deployed in the United States or anywhere like Canada or anything like that yet?
Well, I would urge you to go to Richard D. Hall's channel and watch this series that he has. It's like a 7-part series on the 9/11 direct energy weapons being used. And I'm going to tell you, dude, when you're done watching that series, you're probably going to be as convinced as I am that direct energy weapons were absolutely used.
I give that a very high probability. And in fact, I think that they not only used directed energy, but they threw everything that they had at it. I'm sure there were explosives in the building, which explain the nanothermite that was found. And
yeah, but we know about the half-burned cars and the whole car lots with cars that are half burnt and trees intact. And
and paper's just fine. And
paper is fine. Yeah.
Yes, but the cars are fried, and that's the metal.
That's
that
right.
Created that problem.
That's right, because everybody knows you don't put a fork in the microwave.
No, unless it's a plastic fork.
That's correct.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, Sandra. Okay, so let me see. Let me jump back to my notes here. Speaking of the privacy thing, because I guess I wanted to. It's going to be hard to separate these two topics because they're so closely linked. Barry Trower was talking about, Gandalf, when you and I were talking a minute ago about being tracked on your cell phone, even when the phone is off, it's still pinging your location and it still can be listening to you. and very likely is listening to you, and they can activate your camera. Barry Trower said that up to 40 countries have access to your cell phone data and tracking data. Up to 40 countries have access to that information.
Wow. That's crazy. That's one reason why I am ever so glad I don't have a phone. I have no phone. I'm glad.
So Trower says that the scientists who produced this, they don't even have any idea of the mathematics of the waveform in the gigahertz range, and that there are no safety checks whatsoever on this 5G, all this millimeter wave, microwave communication technology. My brother used to work for the military. My brother was he went into the military in the Army as a diesel mechanic. And anytime the military sets up a base or like one of those mobile communication satellite dishes where they drive out and a big truck deploys this big satellite, they run on electricity, which is powered by a monster diesel generator. And my brother was a diesel mechanic, and that's what he did. My brother came home from military, and he was telling me stories about that they were out in the field somewhere, and they deployed this microwave communication satellite. And he said the grass and the trees and the bushes all around in a big circle would just fucking die within hours.
That's ghastly. Talk about slow kill. Oh my gosh. Just keep zapping us with this crap.
So you guys keep your eye on the chat. If Mark shows up, Mark has an open invitation. And by the way, if anybody else maybe wants to come in and hang out with us, if they want to add to this conversation, let me know. We'll see about getting you the link. We got an open panel tonight. Weetree says most scientists will not allow a microwave in their homes. There are videos on YouTube where people will use a microwave or an EMF detector, and then they'll turn on their microwave, and that fucking thing just goes absolutely crazy because your home microwave leaks. It leaks.
Yeah, I don't use the microwave. I haven't used a microwave in years. I mean, decades.
Well, every once in a while, we'll use it to heat up a cup of tea, but I don't cook anything in the microwave. I don't eat anything out of my microwave, ever.
No.
Yeah, I've been trying not to. I'll just warm stuff up in the stove or something then.
Yeah.
I don't even like being in my kitchen when that thing is running.
Yeah, I just don't ever get near one.
You know how there's that fine, it's it looks like mesh on the front of your microwave, and it's like little black dots? That's supposed to be blocking the radiation coming out of the thing. That's pumping out.
Yeah, okay. It's not working.
That's what they say.
They say.
Yeah,
Okay.
If I had my way, I'd outlaw microwaves.
So, has anybody ever read, and I'm talking to everybody listening, you guys can respond to me in the chat. Has anybody ever taken the time to read that little booklet that comes with your cell phone? When you get a new cell phone, when you upgrade and you get a new phone, it always comes with a manual and a how-to book. You ever go and read the back or the fine print where it says, don't use this inside of an enclosed metal, if you're inside like a metal building, in other words, an automobile, which is surrounded by metal? Has anybody ever bothered to actually read that little book that comes with your cell phone?
I had a cell phone briefly, but it was given to me, and I don't know that I ever saw that booklet. So
Freddie says, "Read?" with a question mark. I ain't got time. I ain't got time for reading.
read? What's that?
So, yeah, man, I actually did read mine once, and I was kind of surprised at the warnings that are in that book. And it's almost like a disclaimer to the point where if you decide to use the phone, it's like clicking the OK button on the terms of agreement for Google or YouTube. You know what I mean? The terms of service agreement. Nobody reads that shit. You just click OK or next, and you get on with life.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing with a cell phone, because they basically warn you in the fucking pamphlet or in the book that comes with your cell phone. It tells you, in fact, if you have an iPhone, that book actually tells you not to have the phone within 9 millimeters of your body. Centimeters, excuse me.
Yeah, I've heard that you're not even supposed to be holding your phone when you're talking on it.
Yeah.
When I had my phone, I never stuck it to my head, and it always sat on the table, and then I just reach over and push buttons as needed. But other than that, I never touched it, and it never got in my face at all. I always put it on speaker. Always.
So this in my description box is the full lecture from Barry Trower. One of the things he says, it's about an hour and a half long speech lecture talk that he does. He said he was down in I think South Africa, and was giving a talk, and the speaker that came up behind him was a teacher. And the teacher got up and said that in Africa, suicide and student bad behavior is almost unknown. Okay. It's that kind of rare. It's so rare that it's almost unheard of. Bad behavior and or suicide among young people, students, teenagers, kids.
Right.
Almost unknown, he said.
Wow.
And then he said they installed one of those fucking transmitters in our school. And he said within a year or two, every student in my classroom was on Ritalin.
Oh, my God.
And he had a classroom of about 30 kids.
Wow.
Every single kid was on Ritalin within about a couple of short years.
Incredible. But there's no causal relationship, I'm sure.
No, that's merely coincidence. So, that makes me think of, some of these truther people that have gone off the rails, like the pizza shooter and Justin Woolley, who shot his mom, and
the pizza shooter was
Hey, Border,
scripted.
how you doing? Welcome.
The pizza shooter was scripted.
It might have been, Amy. We don't know. I think it was scripted. It may have been scripted. I agree.
I give it a 99.997% probability it was scripted.
I hear you. And we got Justin Woolley, who kills his mom and then takes her car and drives across town to some self-storage facility. Unknown reason why he goes there, and who knows why, but he kills that guy and takes his car.
Yeah, so he drove to a storage, with the places you drop off your stuff if you can't keep it in
self-storage facility.
Yeah, and he stabbed somebody to death after he had already shot his mom.
Right. He shot his mom and then stabs this guy.
Yeah, so how it apparently went down was he was having an argument with his mom. He shot her because she didn't believe in his conspiracy theories. He jumped in her car, drove to a storage facility, and then stabbed a guy to death, took his car, and then drove back to his mom's place. And the cops were there waiting for him. They threw him in the back, and then he was there in Atlanta. giving that weird, bizarre testimony in front of the judge, where like the arraignment or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's talking in a British accent. Like the entire Wooly thing was so bizarre.
Yeah.
If you watch like his older, like his videos, the last video that he put up, I think was the Monarch video, where it looked like a child had put up these videos. Now, Wooly was never the best at putting up videos, but whoever put up this video, it's almost like it wasn't even Wooly. Like the video was so strange, it looked like it was made by a child or something like that. It was like somebody who would use like the YouTube editor to make the video. And it was just a bunch of pictures of himself, but it kept repeating this monarch or a butterfly. And that was like the sketchiest thing I thought about the whole Wooly thing. I ended up talking to a guy that actually met him in jail, which was really sketchy.
Well, you know, he lived about 30 minutes from me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about
he
that.
Literally lived. This shit happened right in my backyard or my neck of the woods.
Wow.
Yeah, because you guys were both in the greater Atlanta area, right?
Yeah. He was over in Smyrna, and I'm over near Stone Mountain. So we were about 30 or 40 minutes away. It was all Metro Atlanta.
God, man, I don't know what to think about what happened to Wooly. Wooly was always kind of out there, you know what I mean? There's this one channel I ran into, and he actually had called Wooly a few times, and he recorded conversations with Wooly, and the conversations they had were really, really bizarre, man.
So Barry Trower was talking about the police having increased cancers and an increased violence in their behavior. He said, Barry says in this lecture that it's in the description box, he says that a scientist who was speaking at a relatively secretive U.S. Defense Intelligence conference, he said that all aspects of human behavior can be affected and even controlled. And this is written by an Australian doctor who worked for the WHO, who is now an industry consultant. When I say industry, I mean the telecommunication industry. So there's a 5G, or this millimeter wave, this microwave technology. It increases your brain activity. You get a noticeable, detectable hyper brain activity when you are on your phone or using your phone or near a Wi-Fi or being beamed with one of their fucking weapons.
Yes.
That you get this hyper brain activity. He said studies have been done with children. He said a child that uses a cell phone for just 2 minutes has an increased brain activity that doesn't settle back down and go back to normal for 2 hours afterwards.
Yep.
And that kind of explains why so many kids are on all these drugs, and that they're all being labeled. What's the fucking mental disorder that everyone's being labeled with?
ADHD.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
They're hyperactive. They're not paying attention. They're acting out. They're misbehaving. They can't focus and concentrate. Now,
Yep.
Barry Trower was a British military physicist, and he worked with this millimeter wave, microwave technology in the 50s during the Cold War. And he tells a story, and it might not be in this lecture in my comments or my description. It might be a different interview, where he describes during the Cold War, the United States Embassy in Russia, that all, if not all, then virtually all, like 99 out of 100 percentage, all of the people, all the staff members at the embassy were coming down with cancers and all kinds of illnesses, leukemia and shit, and breast cancer and stuff like that. And the kids were having any children that were in the vicinity were getting that's leukemia, that's the blood disease, blood cancer, basically bone marrow cancer. He said so they switched, they completely replaced the entire, after about 18 months, they replaced the entire staff at this embassy. He said within another 18 months, everybody else had also been diagnosed with either cancer or some serious illness. So they were replacing staff every 18 months in this embassy in Russia and that's when they discovered that they were being beamed with a stealth weapon, a microwave technology.
Well, have you heard about the recent stories coming out of the American embassy in Cuba, where a lot of people are apparently having strange noises being beamed into them? And it's some kind of frequency weapon that they're saying that the Cuban government's using on the American embassy staff.
Sorry, I walked away for a second, but yeah, I've absolutely been hearing about that. See, that brings me back to the Justin Wu Lee thing. And when you have these quote unquote conspiracy people going off the rails and acting dangerous and shooting and killing people, going to the pizza shop and shooting it up. And then there's that weird ass bitch who went to the YouTube headquarters and shot the place up. Whether that shit is false flag or it's a complete hoax, or I don't know, maybe those people were TIs, maybe they were targeted individuals, because this stuff can alter your brain patterns. It can make you think and hear voices in your head, make you think things. It can fuck with your mood in a very serious way.
Well, I agree with that, but the examination of the events just leads me to believe that these were planned and scripted. But yeah, it could be that stuff that doesn't get reported on, and they don't report on some pretty intense stuff. Could
we'll now lift the veil selling T-shirts with that girl's face on it, eh?
Which girl?
The YouTube shooter.
Oh, her. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Listen, I need to take a quick break, guys.
Okay.
Okay, Abby.
Okay, so I'll be right back.
Okay.
Trying to pull up this video on my channel. I have the video still on my channel, I'm pretty sure, where Justin Wu Lee was arraigned and he was talking in a British accent.
And he had a pretty weird look on his face during his arraignment.
Yeah.
How many times, Gandalf, how many times have we heard that these people, and they're not always, it's not always a conspiracy theorist, right? It's not always a Professor Doom or a Sidethorn or a Wu Lee. But how many times have we heard these people, when they get captured, not killed, shooters and whatever, supposed domestic terrorists, when they get captured, and they ultimately make a statement and they say they're hearing voices in their heads. We've heard that a lot, haven't we?
God, man. Let me try and find that. Actually, you just totally reminded me of something.
Yeah, the voice to skull technology. That's a real thing.
Yeah, that's extremely common with these people that have apparently gone off the rails. Oh, I gotta find you this, man. I have an actual story like that's exactly what you're talking about.
Border of Chaos. Yeah, Wu Lee went absolutely postal. You don't know about that? By the way, for those who don't know, Justin Wu Lee, he used to run the YouTube channel known as Counter Tyranny Ops. And for those who are coming in late, Border of Chaos is asking, Justin Wu Lee shot his mom, took her car, drove across town to a random self-storage facility, and then stabbed the guy to death, and then took his car and then went back to his mom's house, and where the police were there, and then he got picked up.
Yeah, that's exactly that's the official story. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And Gandalf is trying to look for a video that's going to show Wu Li talking in a weird British accent during his arraignment, and if he can find it, we'll play it.
Okay, and I also just found what we were just talking about. The Fort Lauderdale shooter, according to him, here, I'm going to get right to it.
Yeah, I want to play some of this Barry Trower and get some of these gruesome details out there, because I mean, I would have pages and pages and pages of notes. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this Barry Trower. But go ahead. You want to screen share?
Okay, yeah, sure. I'm just bringing up the video. I got both the videos now.
All right, I got you.
I'll do this one quick.
All right, I got you highlighted. So go ahead.
Here it is. All right, here we are.
And I'm back.
Just in time.
All right.
Justin Cray Cray.
Justin Woolley. Oh, wait a minute.
The name on the military ID that the suspect had with him. If it is Santiago, then this is a man with an interesting history.
It's just kind of glitchy. Hold on. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, here we are.
We know that Esteban Santiago was the name on the military ID that the suspect had with him. If it is Santiago, then this is a man with an interesting history. In 2010, he went to Iraq with the Puerto Rico National Guard. He spent almost a year there. Some of the pictures you're seeing of that time are from what is said to be his Instagram account. He was a driver and a mechanic in Iraq. He didn't get a Purple Heart, so it doesn't seem that he was injured, but it was a very violent time. It appears that he did see some combat. Key question is, did he experience something traumatic while he was there? We don't yet know, but his brother has said that Santiago developed some mental health issues after his tour. When he got back from Iraq, he went to work for the Alaska National Guard. He was actually given a general discharge from that guard in August of 2016 for unsatisfactory performance. It seems something was falling apart for him at this moment. Both his employers in Alaska and the FBI have said that Santiago was talking of hearing voices. In November, he reportedly went to the FBI and told them that the government was controlling his mind, that he was being told to watch ISIS videos to go fight for ISIS. The FBI has alleged that he was incoherent, that they then sent him to a psychiatric institute. Is it possible that there was an actual ISIS connection? That's not clear. This photo is circulating of the man said to be the suspect. That one finger salute is something like what you commonly see with those associated with ISIS, but we don't know when this picture was taken or what he really meant by that gesture. It could be almost anything.
So what do you think about that?
That was kind of hard to hear. That's what I think. Yeah, can you just kind of give a recap of what she was saying?
It sounded like she was underwater.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's back in the old days when I was using screencast to make videos. So basically, more or less, what the guy said was he was hearing voices, and the voices were telling him that he had to go and fight for ISIS, and he went to the FBI saying that the government was controlling his mind, sending him this information. That
so he went to the government to tell the government that the government was controlling his mind?
More or less, yeah.
Thanks for the laugh.
Yeah, so we might as well not even watch the Woolley arraignment. I got to re-up.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, so... Okay,
I mean, you built it up too much. Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Well, if you couldn't hear that, you might not be able to hear this at all, but...
whatever, it is what it is.
But yeah, so I just found that strange. So when I heard that was on the CBC, so our Canadian news.
Oh, is that why it sounded like it was underwater? You guys talk funny.
Yeah, well, you got to get over the accent, bro.
I mean, I know you're a third world country and everything, but you could step it up.
Yeah, really.
Oh, it's a barren northern wilderness, man.
You guys have like twice the land mass of the United States and 1/10 of our population.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a smaller population than California.
Wow.
What do you guys got? Like 30 million, something like that?
I think we're at 35 million now.
Woohoo!
But yeah, most of that population's in southern Quebec and southern Ontario, so it's basically still just a northern wilderness once you head up north of the Great Lakes, right?
Right.
All right, here we go.
Who's this? Rob S. said the DC shooter talked, let me see, talked about low energy weapons and etched lewd in his gun. Etched the word lewd in his gun.
I don't know the details on that one.
All right, hopefully this comes in a little better. Oh, this is even worse.
It's really quiet.
Just trying to get to the point where he talks.
Do you understand what you've been talking?
All right, there we go. Well, to my defense, the original video where I got that from when I did the screencast was almost just as bad sound quality wise.
I was going to say, I didn't make out a single word spoken on that.
I know, neither did I didn't even hear a British accent, but I have heard that he did speak in a British accent. He was talking some weird shit.
Whoever filmed it, like I think it was filmed using like a cell phone or something like that, the original video where I got that from. And I'm gonna bring up some links so people can see this for themselves. But when you see the original video, you will be able to hear the British accent, but it's still really, really hard to hear, even with the original video.
All right, are you going to share another one?
Oh, no, that's it. So
okay. Well, I want to share some of this Barry Trower lecture that he put out that I was checking out today. I was working and listening to Barry Trower almost all day today. Interviews and speeches and lectures that he was giving. This one's pretty damn amazing. I'm going to play this for a couple of minutes. And by the way, if anybody goes to my description box and you want to watch this entire speech that he gives, check it out. I'm going to show you a couple of the comments because this is true. Well, check it out. Second comment down, it says, at 7 minutes and 3 seconds, YouTube censors the rest of the statement. And then somebody replied, also at 37:22. Does anyone know what he said in those spots? And then let me see. Only a couple of comments down, it says, at 4 minutes and 10 seconds, yet again a jump. Why are you censoring this and not all of it? And then the next comment below that, this video skips over the actual wording of the government memo. The next comment after that, this is the third video I've watched with Barry where someone has blatantly removed and edited out info. And then right down here it says, at 7 minutes and 2 seconds into the video, I just paused it, so I haven't finished this yet, but I can't be the only one who has noticed this. At 7 minutes and 3 seconds, and he starts reading that letter, and then it just skips over for a few seconds so you don't hear what the sentence says. And then just a couple of comments down, somebody else notices at 7 minutes. And then just a few more comments, somebody notices at 37 minutes and 24 seconds, again, what was removed and by whom. This happens several times throughout his speech. Portions of it are just chopped right out.
How weird.
Yeah. Okay, so let me see. My note here has me going to where is from 6 minutes. Okay, I want to play from about the 6 minute mark. I'm going to play about 5 or 6 minutes of this. 6:09. Bump it back a little bit. Come on. 6:03, that'll do. Listen to this shit.
Realizing that microwaves cause a lot of damage to water-based bodies, the United States Defense Intelligence Agency published this document, which was circulated to all governments, all Western governments. And I think this piece of paper, this one piece of paper here with the one sentence, is going to cause more death, more suffering, and more pain than the entire Second World War. Just this one piece of paper. And it says to all of the governments, if the advanced nations of the West are strict in the enforcement of stringent exposure standards, there could be unfavorable. And really, the whole argument begins and ends here. That is all the proof you need. And what the governments did, and it is still
very weird.
They said, well, what we will look at for our safety standard, we will not take the level at which microwaves interact with the cellular processes in the body. And for an adult, there are around 4,500 different biological processes that can be affected. It's 4,050 in a child. They said, we won't look at that level. We will choose a level up here that gives us total freedom. And it is the one used today for all of the cell phones, even the Tetra airwave system. And it is 6 minutes of warming. That's it. The total safety level is 6 minutes of heating. In other words, if you don't feel too warm in 6 minutes, then it's okay. And that's it. And this is why we have all of this trouble. And it is why country after country are now finding they have leukemia clusters, cancer clusters, all sorts of problems going on that I will discuss over this and the following lecture after the break. But it's this one piece of paper that triggered everything off. The program, after this was put out, it is called, by governments, it is called active denial. In other words, they deny everything. Now, leading up to this, and this takes some believing to reach this stage, there were lots of experiments on lots of people without their knowledge. In just 40 years, and this is documented, in 40 years, 500,000 people were tested without their knowledge, many to the point of death. They chose military personnel because military personnel are fit, they're active, and they make good case studies. They chose students, psychiatric patients, the poor, children over the age of 4, pregnant women, Muslims, and Catholics. I won't go into why those groups were chosen at this point, but they were on the list, and of course anybody else that they decided to experiment on. In 1986, at a top secret conference, a US weapons center, a gentleman made a speech, and he said, concerning the microwaves, he said, "We can change the behavior of cells, tissue, whole organisms, have a 6 times higher fetus mortality, cause birth defects, and induce cancer in human cells." That is the result of their research.
Sheesh.
Again, in a top secret course between 2001 and 2007, course number 11, students, these would be scientists, will be familiar with current knowledge. That is, cancer, memory, brain function, damage to the eye, skin, and birth defects can be caused by this radiation. And that is borne out in this document, the one I said is most dangerous, because apart from the top line here, all of the rest of this are illnesses which you can expect to get if you are exposed to radiation. And it says here, exposed to microwave radiation below thermal effects. In other words, below the safety level. And then they list all of the psychiatric problems and all of the physical problems. Some of them they describe as severe neuropathological symptoms. So
severe neuropathological, what did he say? Severe neuropathological? Did they say pathological? What was the word he used there?
Sorry, I missed it.
Psychiatric problems.
Psychiatric problems.
Some of them they describe as severe neuropathological symptoms.
Neuropathological symptoms.
Neuropathological symptoms, psychiatric symptoms.
Oh my gag.
They can change the behavior of a cell. They can change the behavior of tissue. They can change the behavior of an entire organism. Severe neuropathological symptoms and psychological symptoms. So that brings me back to Justin Woolley again, or any of the other crazy conspiracy, off the rail fucking shooter people that have popped up lately in the news. And then, we have this whole subset of community of people who are TIs, or targeted individuals, people who say that they are targeted and that they hear voices in their head and that they I'm sorry, I'm clicking around doing something else here. I hope that you guys are at least a little bit familiar with targeted individuals, because it's not just imaginary, microwave invisible technology being used on these people. But a lot of times these people are affected by physical actions taken by nefarious groups, whether they be CIA or whatever. I'm subscribed to a guy who has organized a whole support group for TIs, and he puts out TI news videos every couple of days. And he himself has suffered targeting because he had a run-in. He had a run-in with a guy who was like a high-ranking Freemason and some kind of government employee, and they had a problem, and he had some kind of run-in, and the next thing you know, the guy's having all kind of problems with, he had a successful business, and then for no apparent reason, his clients start dropping off. And then there was this issue with his living situation. He would leave town and come back and find his apartment or his house was ransacked.
Wow.
And like physical stuff, like he would go out to get in his car in the morning and his tires were slashed and his car was keyed. Just all kinds of just weird, just, on first glance, you think, okay, someone just keyed your car. No big deal. Shit happens. And then a couple of weeks later or a couple of days later, it happens again. Something else happens, something else happens, something else happens, something else happens. And then it starts to fucking add up. It's like you're targeted. Someone is literally physically fucking with you.
Well, speaking of that, I have to give some probability that I have been targeted to some extent. Even though I'm disabled, when I was sitting there faced with losing everything and going homeless, I was frantically trying to get a job, and I did that for almost a decade, and I finally gave up. I mean, when I applied to over 100,000 jobs, I had a fair few number of interviews, and a fair number of those said, "You've got the job." And then the next thing I know, they don't call me back. They don't communicate with me. I call them, leave messages on their machine. Nothing. And when I did get a hold of the people, somebody to talk about it, I got all kinds of, first of all, they were usually nervous. Why would they be nervous? And they'd say, we decided not to fill the job. And then I'd see it newly posted the next day on the same board I found it on.
I remember you telling me something about that.
And I had one job that, I was eminently qualified for. It was graphic design. And of course I was hoping I'd manage to keep pace, that I wasn't sure, but I was willing to give it a shot. And, they said I had the job. And when I got in touch with them, she went, we changed the job description and you don't qualify for it. Now, there really isn't anything in graphic design and video production and that sort of thing that I couldn't do. So I thought, what did they do? Add geologists to the list? I mean, it made no sense. And so I have to give some probability to the possibility that somebody has been targeting me on that level.
Well, Amy, there's an interview that's about a 2.5 hour interview, or maybe 2 hours, with Barry Trower. And in that interview, he mentions, I swear to God, I think he said $17 trillion. Whoever is in charge of this worldwide technology has access to $17 trillion. And with money like that, not only can they buy whole countries, not only can they absolutely buy university professors, scientists, they can have any paper published that they want, but they can also hire thugs.
Yep.
To run around like millions, thousands and thousands of thugs to do all kinds of creepy, nefarious shit. And I wouldn't put it past them. At this point, I would not put it past them to do just that.
Yeah. Like I said, it was really kind of freaky to, because before, yeah, okay, I might have to apply for 50 jobs before I got one. Maybe. Usually it was a lot less than that. And then suddenly I'm for a whole decade, I'm applying, I was doing that even once I was homeless. I'd go to the libraries and I'd do nothing but apply for jobs. For a whole decade, I did this. And like I said, well over 100,000 applications. Nothing.
So, Amy, I know that you saw Mark's most recent video on Liz Crokin.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so for those who don't know, Liz Crokin, the blonde that we often see on SGT Report, the reporter, she used to be a tabloid reporter. Well, Mark uncovered, I guess he didn't really uncover because it's a couple of years old. It's not a secret. Liz has been embroiled in a fairly serious lawsuit with her ex-boyfriend, who is something like 22 or 25 years her senior. She's 37, and he was 59. And supposedly he gave her herpes, and he didn't tell her, and she went undiagnosed, and then it developed into some sort of meningitis thing that became life-threatening, et cetera, and she's involved. And he was wealthy, and he had an ex-wife and a mistress and other girlfriends who have come forward. Liz has said that she has spoken with the ex-wife and spoken with some other women who also are in the same situation, and that she had agreements that they were going to testify on her behalf, and then they changed their mind. She said that she's had emails and phone conversations, and that these other women have agreed to testify, and then they backed out. Now, remember, the guy is wealthy. Now, my point here is that when you have $17 trillion at your disposal, it certainly is easy to make people do things, to make people say things or not say things. If one guy, and this happens all the fucking time, collusion and subversion happens all the fucking time. And we're talking about a giant pile of money, so much money you could almost consider it a endless supply of money.
Yes. Well, as I point out in one of my vids, money is the only tool at the very foundation. You need money to have to have widespread influence. And if you have money, you can have phenomenal influence. The more money, the more phenomenal influence.
Yep.
So,
and it doesn't take much. In fact, it might have, I hope I'm not misspeaking here, I think it might have been John Rappaport in one of his older reports he did on Fade to Black, where he said, and again, forgive me if I'm misquoting the wrong person, but I heard that some U.S. politicians, and including senators, can be bought. Their votes on a particular matter can be bought for as low as $3,000.
Wow.
So my point is, it doesn't take much. A little bit of money goes a long way.
No, well, the entire system's basically run by money. If you have the money, you can buy out any politician, like I used to always wonder when I would hear people talk about my dad's friends when I was a kid, they'd always say, well, the banks run the show. Well, it's quite simple. If you're a wealthy banker, you can simply buy a politician. It's easy as that. In the States, I know you guys got lobbyists, right? So there's entire sections of your government that's devoted to buying out politicians.
Right.
Yep.
Well, lobbyists are private. They're not part of government.
Well, they might as well be at this point.
Well, actually, there's what we call the revolving door, and some of these lobbyists move in and out of government positions, and then they go back to the private sector. And once they establish various connections, they'll be hired by a giant corporation to be a lobbyist because they have the connections, the phone numbers. They have been rubbing elbows with these guys already, so they already well known. And so they're basically just the middleman to provide the funds, the money, the gifts, the cars, the boats, the planes, the trips, the vacations, you name it. It's almost like the mafia when they show up at your business and they say, "Hey, nice little pizza shop you got here." Sorry, I didn't mean to say pizza shop. Nice business you got here.
Well, that's what they call a Freudian slip there, Ruth.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if something bad happened to it.
Yep.
You know, I said pizza because I used to watch The Sopranos, and they had a little pizza shop. They would sit out front, and they would look like they were running a regular business, which is typically a cash business. And while in the meantime, in the middle of the night, they were running drugs, hookers, and
Ruth, you're kind of cutting out a bit, or is that just me?
Yeah, no, he's cutting out. Hello, Aaron.
Oh, he just muted. Well, you know, in Canada, I'm pretty sure how it works is you just drop off a suitcase full of cash to the politician that you want to own. Like our prime minister's been caught in meetings with having luncheons with Chinese investors, and they all donate to the Trudeau Foundation for favors.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
All right. I bumped my microphone. It's got a bad connection on the back side of it. I got to be careful not to touch this microphone once I get set up.
Bro, are you on a laptop, man?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's probably.
I got an external microphone that Juxtapose sent me. It's an old blue snow. It's a blue snowball that he used to use for recording. It's just got a really bad, whatever. It's like a, what's that called? That type of fitting the connection on the backside. That's all it is. It's just a bad connection on the wire. Okay, so you got my sound. I'm sounding good here because I want to share. I want to share some more Barry Trower, where he talks about the dangers of the Wi-Fi system to children. And this is where it's going to get a little bit, if it's not already disturbing, it's just going to get disturbing here. So check this out.
Sometimes I can't get through that. There is no known safety level of microwave irradiation anywhere in the world published for a child.
Can you hear him okay?
And whenever I go to a country, I make a challenge, and I'm making it here. I will face any government scientist, any industry scientist, live on television, and I will say to them, what is the safe level of microwave irradiation for a child? And when I speak in schools and to governments and royalty and other people I talk to, I say, what is the safe level? Because if you can't tell me, why are you putting Wi-Fi in schools? A single day of a child in front of Wi-Fi in a school is a day too long. And I will come to why in a second. Now, with children, there is no known safe level anywhere published in the world. Would you give a drug to a child if there was no known safe level? Would you guess? No, of course you wouldn't. In children, the blood-brain barrier, which is a barrier around the brain, it is also around the thorax, the chest, and it also covers a part of the gut. It's like a fishing net. And in children, it takes 18 months to develop from birth. It is published and it is known that microwaves destroy the blood-brain barrier. Now, what that means is that as the child is in the womb and as the child is growing up, toxins from inside the body can go into the brain and cause damage. And essential chemicals inside the brain can come out and deprive the brain of what it needs. Now, Dr. Christine Ackermann, I think she's German, she will forgive me if she isn't, and another doctor have written on this extensively, and they have both said this can lead to autism and other neurological illnesses in children. The nervous system inside a child, the electrical cables, if you like, they have 122 layers to protect them from neurological damage. And they take 22 years to complete. A child doesn't have the full system until the child is 22 years old. They are laid down by a system known as protein synthesis. And protein synthesis is destroyed by microwave irradiation. You are risking neural degenerative damage with your children with Wi-Fi in a classroom. And I can assure you, as true as I stand here, the levels of radiation in a classroom exceed those that are used in the Cold War to make people sick.
Did you hear what he said there?
And if you add up radiation...
Did you guys hear what he said there?
Yes.
The levels of radiation in a classroom exceed the levels that he himself used to make people sick when he worked in the field during the Cold War, which is anywhere between 1950 and 1980.
Wow.
The levels of radiation in a classroom, your typical classroom, exceed the levels that he used to make people sick.
Jeez.
A child is exposed to in a class of 20 or 30 transmitters, with one on the wall, with one in the playground, taking all of the calls from all the other classrooms and spreading around the school. When you add that up, it's pretty frightening. The immune system of a child takes 18 years to complete. And at the beginning, that document from the American government, everything it comes up with is suppression of the immune system. So you are destroying a child's immune system, again, before it's up and running. And of course, I have documentary evidence for all this. And finally, the bones. The bones in a child are not fully developed until the child is 28. Now, if a child goes to school at 5 and stays there at university until 24, and they use Wi-Fi, that's a lot of bone damage. And there are papers to show that both the marrow in the bones, which is of course moist, which makes the immune system, and the bone density, they can be affected. But it takes 28 years. And if anybody's wondering what the last bone is to form, it's the clavicle. The clavicle here. And this is the paper here. I carry all of my evidence with me. Here it is, protein synthesis by the University of Dundee, Scottish University, very clever people. Protein synthesis. Now, the reason there is no safe level for a child is that, and this appeared in a scientific journal, August 2012, they have just suddenly realized what we have been saying all along. Children are not small adults. You don't look at an adult dose and scale it down for a child. That is wrong. They are immensely complex beings, immensely complex. And you cannot scale. This is to do for the drugs industry. This is a warning for the drugs industry that where they're putting adult dose, child dose, the child dose is wrong. It is a guess. But for microwave, there is no child safe level anyway. And children absorb, as it happens, more radiation than adults because they're smaller. And the smaller you are, the more you are to the size of the aerial, and the more you will resonate with the microwaves. If there is any doubt, there are 17 pages here of university published papers explaining how fertility and reproductive organs in ladies are damaged by microwaves. 17 pages of just university experiments. So there can be no doubt. And I can never believe for the life of me why people put Wi-Fi in schools. I can never understand it. Well, I can understand it. Usually they give them some sort of gift, like a free phone or a free iPad or iPod. Because it's cheaper to do that than it is use fiber optic cable and telephone cables. It's cheaper. So they do that. This is, I've been through this. Again, the small print in the mobile phone book at the back.
Here we go.
I've read a few of them, but it particularly warns here. I'm not sure how you measure this, but it says 9.8 inches, keep it 9.8 inches from your body, especially pregnant women and the lower abdomen of teenagers. How you would measure that, I don't know. I summed up quite a few hundred research papers, and I'm going to leave the doctor with a copy of this if anybody wants it. If you do, I suggest you photocopy it in color because it highlights different areas. I summed up all of the problem with children and Wi-Fi in schools. And I broke it into what I call a cartoon. And in fact, it's actually having quite an impact around the world. It is on the internet, but I will leave a copy here. But basically, if you can follow my train of thought here, please, ladies, I'd like you to imagine you are 15 years old and you are in school, or you are a teacher in school, a lady teacher in school, a young lady teacher. You have around 400,000 eggs or follicles in your ovaries, which can develop into eggs, around 400,000. Now, they are being irradiated from your Wi-Fi. And what a lot of scientists fail to read is that this particular DNA inside the follicles or the eggs suffers 10 times more damage
10 times
radiation than any other DNA in the body.
Amazing.
Even if the children had a safety level, it would be a factor of 10 out anyway. They suffer 10 times more. And this particular DNA, the mitochondrial DNA, is irreparable. If a child goes into school tomorrow and that particular part of the DNA is damaged, then what I'm going to say now is quite shocking. You are a schoolgirl or a teacher, your DNA is being irradiated with microwaves, and that is published. So you could have damaged DNA. If you have a child, that child can be born or could be born with a genetic abnormality. But because it is irreparable, that child's child will also carry that same genetic disorder. And her child will carry the same disorder, and so on, until there are no more females in that line. The schoolgirl today, or the teacher today, is not harming herself, she is harming her generations. And that is published. But it gets worse. And this is why I fight to try and get this stopped in countries. And in some, I am successful. It gets worse. And if you want me to talk to your schools, I'll come back. I work for free, I'll come back. Imagine now you are... Imagine you are the schoolgirl who is now 18, and I've taught 18-year-olds advanced physics, or you are the teacher, and imagine you are pregnant. And if you only get to ask one question of a scientist, this is the one to ask. You are now 18, or the teacher, and you are pregnant. And you are within the first 100 days of your pregnancy. You may not at the beginning even know that you're pregnant. But in the first 100 days, the ovarian follicles in your baby, the ovarian follicles are forming. It is 100 days, then 120, I think, then another 100 and something. But the first 100 days, they are forming. The 400,000 follicles are forming. They have absolutely no protection against microwaves. None, not a single bit. The areas in the cells, for the scientists, the protein 53, the nuclear core complex that fights against radiation, they are non-existent. And my question for any scientist is, what is the safe level of microwave irradiation for the first 100 days of an embryo? And if you can tell me, I will be very, very happy, because I can retire and go home and look after my wife and my dog. But there isn't one. So in fact, the schoolgirl today, whose ovaries are already being irradiated, she has a risk. But when she becomes pregnant, there is her risk on the child already, plus the risk of the ovarian follicles having further damage. So the main damage is going to come out in the grandchild. And that is already established, because there are mammalian species that do not take 18, 20 years to have children. And that is already known. So my message today is, please rethink your Wi-Fi, because we can avoid all of this. We can avoid the whole lot. There is a simple solution to this and most other problems. All you want is a piece of wire about that long. That's it, a piece of wire about that long. Either fiber optic cable or telephone cable, doesn't matter. Both work, piece of wire that long, and you save the risk to the generations. Now, if you're going to ask me how many children, I can't give you a maximum because there are lots of other factors. I can give you a minimum, but it is quite frightening.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. The link is in the description. if anybody wants, I recommend people watch this entire lecture that he gives. It's disturbing, it's shocking, it's eye-opening. I mean, he talks about police and fire departments being guinea pigs. With he talks about sometimes Amy, again, I know Amy doesn't watch TV, but like there are comedians and singers and actresses that go on a stage and they'll say to their audience, their live audience in the studio or in the auditorium, they'll say, text me your answer. They'll ask a question, or they'll say, text me, your opinion, or text your vote, right? Because they'll have voting for, various certain TV shows, like the Gong Show and shit like that. And everybody pulls out their cell phone, and you got thousands of people in close proximity, and they're all fucking texting at the same time.
Scary.
So there is actually a solution, and forgive me, but I just haven't had time to do my full research on this, and it's the certificate. I'm trying to remember the certificate for non-ionizing radiation protection. It's called the CITNIP, or something like that. It's an international. The certificate for international safety for non-ionizing radiation protection, something like that. And this is an international standard. I think it might have been set by the United Nations. God forbid they ever do anything good, but
really.
But the industry, the telecommunication industry, they'll send out representatives who will say, look, this is just radio waves. We've had radio for centuries. It's fine. We're within limits. We're within the certificate limits. We're within the standard limits. And one of the papers that he points out in this particular lecture, he says that forgive me, I'm just going off memory. I don't have a note for this, and I don't remember exactly. He says that the non-ionizing radiation protection certificate states that young children, elderly people, various people with sicknesses, illnesses, or low tolerances are particularly subjected or are particularly affected by this millimeter wave and microwave radiation, and that when they set up one of the transmitters, basically a cell phone tower, that it is their responsibility to literally go door to door within the radius, a minimum radius of the transmitter, and survey everybody living within the radius to know for sure and document who may be at risk. So he discusses in this talk some success that they have had having some of the towers and transmitters taken down. And they've had some small success in a couple of areas. And it's based on this one piece of information in this international safety standard for non-ionizing radiation protection. And what you do is you approach the telecom company and you find out if they have done this survey to find out who may be susceptible. And of course they have not done it. And if they have not done it, then you have a legal case. So that's the best I can do on that, because I'm sorry I've had limited time to do my research this week.
We'll forgive you.
Pardon me.
We'll forgive you this time. Just don't let it happen again.
Okay. You have my permission to fire me.
Okay. Yeah, this stuff, I'm just aghast. I really am.
Mittens, we got a new guy in the chat. Mittens says
That's a girl,
oh,
and that's a friend of mine.
Oh, okay. She says here they announced that tanks are being placed throughout our city to discourage crime. One funny reason is to prevent drowning at the river. How on earth is that going to help? Oh yeah, I was going to go drown myself at the river, but I see a tank over there.
I see a tank over there. Oh no. Oh. Utterly absurd. Well, we know why they're moving tanks in. It's crowd control eventually. I do not doubt.
Wow. So what do you guys think, man? I mean, this is about as dangerous as it gets. Barry Trower is the man. He is the go-to man for information on microwave radiation technology. He's a physicist, and also he is a chemist. And obviously he's quite familiar with biology. And he has been working in this field of microwave weaponry. By the way, if I haven't mentioned this, I did. Fullerton at the beginning of the show, he was correct. Fullerton Informer was correct that this was originally developed as a weapon. It's a military technology originally developed as a weapon, and it's still being used as a weapon.
It's a soft kill weapon at this point.
It's a stealth weapon because they can use it. Nobody can see it or hear it or feel it. And so it's untraceable. And, and it's a real thing. This is not fringe. I'm not even wearing my tinfoil today. This is a real fucking thing.
Yep.
Well, the information's all out there that this stuff is highly dangerous. I think that the best tool that they have is labeling people. I'm sure that this guy could be labeled as a tinfoil hatter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Easily, except he's got a lot of data.
So we got a little bit of time left. Let's talk about the privacy issue. Let me see. Ian and Veronica are listening. Love you guys. I just got a text message from Veronica.
Aw.
Love you, Veronica. Love you, Ian. Glad you guys are listening. Glad you guys are still hanging around, and I'm glad you guys are doing well.
Yeah.
Let me see. I was talking to Mom the other day, and we were talking about the privacy thing, and we were talking about Siri and Alexa and all that shit. And her cell phone was sitting on the counter next to her, and we were chatting, and she probably hadn't touched her phone in maybe almost 30 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes, maybe more. And out of nowhere, her phone goes blink, and she looks at it. Maybe it was a text, she checked it. And Siri repeated in text form, repeated everything that her and I were saying.
Wow.
Was listening and recording our conversation and melded her words with my words into one potential conversation. It did a poor job, by the way. It was several mistranslations. But I took a photograph of her phone, so I've got a picture on my phone. I'm going to read it to you. I said I don't like, and then you just follow it up by saying I don't like them. I know enough about them tonight, and shrunk. I said that to them because I don't like them for plenty of other reasons, and any of the bad bad. They're mine. My reasons are batteries, not to be bad reason. They are my recent. Doesn't make it a go to me. It's a good reason to see the logical fallacy, not that dumb. So it was a very, very terrible interpretation of what we were saying. Many words were misinterpreted. Many of the words are just completely wrong. It's a big, giant run-on sentence. Some of the things she said, some of the things I said, but Siri picked it all up and put it into one sentence and one. So look, the point is that her phone was fucking listening. She hadn't touched her phone. She hadn't spoken to Siri. She wasn't asking Siri any questions. Her phone just piped up this fucking conversation, and it was what her and I were talking about.
That is freaky.
Okay, that's really sketchy, man.
I'm so glad I don't have these things.
Well, have you guys ever watched the Snowden movie? It came out like maybe 2 years ago now.
No.
Nah.
It's a really sketchy thing watching this. You find out that and this is all right in the open, this information that all these new digital TVs are actually they can actually record you at any time, because if you look on many of these new smart TVs, they actually have a camera or some kind. They have, like, look at the bottom or look at one of the sides. You will most likely be able to find a video recording device on these TVs. And in the movie, he's like getting tape and he's putting it up on like anything smart TV related or his laptop. Like this information is wide open. Like there is no way to deny that this stuff is actually going on, but they can just assign this crazy label to anyone that even speaks about this.
Yes. You're just one of those weird conspiracy theorists. Right?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. You know, like, even talking about this stuff, you can be labeled as insane. You know what I mean? Like, but this information is wide and like it's right in the open. There's no way to deny that this stuff's going on. Like, Roof, you just covered your own example of this. Like, this, like, what's really strange about this whole Siri thing is that people are actually bringing these devices into their own home. Like, willingly.
Not me.
You know, I've spoken before about, I've given anecdotal, I guess, evidence. I've mentioned before that I've talked many times openly about LASIK surgery, because I had LASIK surgery done about 10 years ago, and I'm getting older and your eyes change, and they told me when I had it done that I would have to have it done again. And it's time, because my eyes are getting bad again. And I've never once gone online and searched. I've never been on a LASIK website. I've never searched LASIK on the computer or on my phone. And yet my email is full of ads for LASIK. And every time I bring it up to somebody, to you guys or my mom or my friends, and I mention it, it's like all I got to do is talk about LASIK surgery, and my email fills up with ads for LASIK surgery.
Weird. No, I get virtually no ads in either of my email accounts. Maybe it's because I don't have a phone.
You know, my new cell phone wants me to rate my visit every time I fucking go somewhere.
Oh, jeez.
And the other day, yesterday, it asked me to rate my visit to a place that I had never been to. And I think it was a place that was maybe next door to somewhere I was, or maybe I drove there and
passed by it.
Yeah, passed by it or something like that. And my phone wants me to rate my visit to Mike's Barbecue or whatever the fuck it was. And I'm like, what the, can you just piss off and leave me could you just quit it?
Really?
Every time I go to Home Depot, rate your visit. Every time I go somewhere, rate your visit. How about no? How about fuck off?
Yeah.
Amy, are you speaking? You're breaking up.
I just said yeah.
Hmm.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
So let me see. Border of Chaos said something a minute ago, directed at me. Thomas Brinkley channel, Michael Cravey, has a video on reporting in the FBI with phone off. Then he got sent a recording of his interview. Huh.
That's creepy.
All right, I'm going to check that out. I'm going to make a note to check that out. My new phone is constantly doing some weird shit that I wish it wouldn't do, especially the rate my visit, which is annoying enough.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, lately within the last year or so, my email is just, you know, you guys remember I talked about this 6 or 8 months or a year ago about the privacy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, just try the experiment. Just try it in the presence of your cell phone. Talk about something that you don't normally talk about, like maybe new carpet. Hey, honey, you think we need to replace the floors? What kind of carpet do you want? You want to go with hardwood? You know, maybe we should get some new flooring, and just throw out those keywords. Throw them out. Throw out a bunch of keywords: flooring, carpet, hardwood, tile, flooring, carpet, flooring, tile. Just try it. Just have a conversation out loud and watch what happens to your email. And that'll fucking prove to you right there, right before your eyes, that you are being listened to. Like it or not.
Oh, yeah.
So Ian and Veronica is listening, and I don't know if you're watching the chat, but Adelaide says hello. What did you say? Hey, Jux. What's up, brother? How you doing? How's Oregon working out for you? So Border of Chaos followed up. He said his friend is sitting near him on a couch to verify what happened to him. Search his channel and you'll find it. I will. Thank you for that. I will check that out, Border. You know what, Border? I'm going to give you a wrench for that. I appreciate that. I very much appreciate the input. You get a wrench. You can, hey, Border, now you got a wrench, drop me a link, because people with wrenches, not only can you eject a troll, but you can now drop a link in the live chat. So do us all a favor, not just me, but everybody listening and watching. Border of Chaos, drop us a link to that channel and video you're talking about. That'd be very appreciated. Thank you. Jux was stuck in traffic.
Oh, joy.
Car broke down. Other than that, all is good. Right on, bro. Take care of that little lady of yours. She's a good girl. Border, you should have a wrench. I thought I gave you a wrench already. You should already have it. Add moderator. Okay, you got a wrench now.
This time for real.
Yeah, I mean it this time.
That's right.
Well, luckily you don't have any trolls for the most part, man. Whenever I try
not anymore.
No, dude, I fill my chat room with wrenches. Anybody that is cool and not causing trouble, and anybody I'm familiar with gets a wrench. I got so many wrenches. The troll, you don't stand 10 seconds in my chat room. I got too many wrenches.
That's right. That's right.
I learned that from Jerry Cthulhu. Fill it up.
Yep. Absolutely.
Man, I've had to deal with so many trolls on here, dude. Especially when I do hangouts, it's just crazy. And people will come out, like, I never see people on your channel, though, that come from the live hangouts feed, where you go to that YouTube channel and people from hangouts can come to your channel. Whenever I do a hangout, people always come to my channel from the live hangouts YouTube channel.
Wow, I wonder if we're just being suppressed. Yeah, we never see anybody that is just random people from.
Mittens has had that experience. She said it happened. She said her PC was listening. Her kid was, what is it? My youngest son was talking about wanting a BB gun. Next thing I know, gun ads come all over the devices.
Wow. Crazy.
That's no shit, guys. I mean, look, this conversation we're having right now is being transmitted or transcribed into a voice to text. Everything that
no doubt.
So everything we're all saying is being transcribed into voice to text, and then it's being scrutinized.
I don't consent.
Neither do I.
You can be bullies and do it because you're bullies, but that puts you very much beneath me.
And distorting just reminded me about, he mentioned chemtrails. AI defines chemtrails. The barium and the aluminum that is known to be in the chemtrails causes the atmosphere to be radioactive. And so then it's more susceptible to the microwave radiation and the ionization. And so that's why they're putting that shit up there. And then, of course, the aluminum rains down, and aluminum is a neurotoxin, and it toxifies the soil and gets in your garden, and it just, holy fuck.
Yeah, it's ghastly.
That's kind of why I titled tonight's show, "The Future's So Dark, I Gotta Lose the Shades." We gotta, I mean, you know, I've mentioned this. I mentioned this before, that I bounce between optimism and pessimism, and today is a pessimistic day.
Well, let's hope. Horizon.
Gandalf, why don't you explain? Who's I Spy? I Spy thinks you're Monty.
Yeah, so there's this guy, I Spy. Like, I've seen him around for years, and this guy's convinced that I'm Montagraph for some reason. He'll come to me in random videos, and he'll just say, "You don't seem to, be aware, Gandalf, of this, blah, blah, blah," and I'll just be like, "Okay, man." And most of the time, I just don't respond to him, but nowadays, I've just been responding to him with, "Tell me your story, I Spy." Because I Spy is like, I don't know, he's like some kind of troll or something. Like, he used to troll Wise 1984. And so this guy thinks I'm Montagraph, apparently.
Dude, you're not Montagraph.
No. Not even. Not even close.
So I just want to remind any of the newcomers, the whole reason that we were talking about, the whole reason I wanted to talk about the 5G and the microwave technology is because of what's happening in California, brought to my attention via Grindall 61. The TSA is now involved in the public transit scanning. They've got scanning going on in the LA County. It's like the beta testing of public transit TSA scanning for anybody who gets on a bus or anybody who gets on a public transit train. So not only are they, you know, the Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, where they're trying to get people out of their cars, and that's no secret, by the way. This is really what they want.
Yep.
They don't want us to have any autonomy. And then on top of that, they want to irradiate. Thank you, Border of Chaos. He just dropped the link. So anybody who wants the link, play it. You want me to play it on the show here? Is it short? Because I've only got about 15 minutes left before we're going to close this out. Broadsword showed up. What's up, brother? Broadsword, you don't have a wrench yet? Holy shit. I'm sorry, man. You got one now. You've been around long enough.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people.
Oh, you do have a sword. Oh, you do have a wrench. Sorry. What the fuck was I thinking? All right. God, I looked up and it didn't show.
Huh.
Maybe it was my eyes. All right, let me, I'm going to open this. Oops, shit. I should have opened it in a new tab. I just lost my page.
Okay, I'm here with my buddy.
6 minutes. All right, I'll tell you what. I'm going to screen share. This is only 6 minutes long. I'm going to play this Border of Chaos, the video that Border wanted me to show. 6 minutes long. Let's see what this is. Here we go.
Night, and in light of the new revelations with the Okay, I'm here with my buddy Knight, and in light of the new revelations with the NSA whistleblower, I wanted to bring him in to say, to give the story of what happened when he was working for mobile repair, cell phone repair, a place called Retech. And back in the day, like more than a year ago, he was an anti-conspiracy theorist, and we were always arguing. And basically, you know, one day he came in because he was my roommate, and he said, "You've got to hear this story." And he tells me a story about a guy who's being gang stalked by either one person or multiple people. And this person wasn't targeted by the government or anything like that, but was just constantly being texted at weird hours and with like threats and harassment and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So the thing is that the craziest part is that even when that phone was off, they were able to hear what he was saying and harass him after he turned it back on. So do you want to just tell that story real quick? He goes into...
Well, he goes, among the other stories, he goes into the police station to file a report, which he filed a few because he said it had been happening to him for like 2 years.
Okay.
So he went in to file a report one day, and he turned his phone off before he went in because he didn't want the guy recording him because he said the guy could record him while the phone was on, and he would call the guy and text him being like, "Hey, you were talking this and this and this," because he could record his phone calls.
Yeah. And
I said, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, he would send as soon as he answered the phone, or if he checked the voicemail, it would be a recording of him with his phone in his pocket.
Right.
Essentially,
and the guy, the harasser, would text the guy and call him with a voice changer and tell him and give him like you said, like a synopsis of kind of what was going on in his life, and he would harass him. At like 2 and 3 in the morning, weird hours. Yeah. Well, he went into the police station one time and he turned off his phone because he thought that would stop it, from the guy hearing anything.
Yeah.
And he gave the policeman a report, and then he turned his phone back on and he said, "Okay, I'll show you so and so what the guy had been saying." And he turned his phone on and he started getting some text from this guy immediately. He turned his phone on and the guy was texting him
content
verbatim. The content of what he just told the officer, bro.
Yeah.
So he was recording the guy with his phone off.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was far above and beyond anything I've ever heard of.
Right, and he didn't know who it was, but he speculated that it might have been one of his girlfriend's friends or exes or somebody that didn't want them to be together, that might have had some kind of vendetta towards. I don't know, but I asked him. I said, who it was, and he said that he was not sure, but he was pretty sure he knew who it was. And basically,
and don't forget when I asked the guy. I said, "Listen, man, between me and you, I got to know this. I have to know this first." I said, "Do you have any sort of, old affiliation or any kind of loose
with higher ups in government?" And he said no.
Or anything in any of the higher powers?
Yeah.
And he said no. And I said, "Government, or military?" Anything? He said, "No, absolutely not."
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
"Okay, man, are you sure?" All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was.
And so
blew my mind.
Yeah. And so that's really, not only can they track your location, not only can they basically listen to you, and even with your cell phone off, okay, like you'd have to pull your battery out.
Yeah, the only physical possibility is to pull the battery out.
Sure. And then when I went in to renew, it was like, hey, do you want to get a smartphone? It's only 99 cents. You know, so and you can't like look at the phone. Basically, it's not easy to pull the battery out of the smartphone. So essentially,
some of the new phones,
you know, they're trying to
basically
have everybody monitoring devices.
Are you allowed to say the name of the smartphone that you got?
An iPhone? I'm not sure which one it is.
It's the 3GS.
The 3GS, yeah.
99 cents, yeah. And I do repair on those, and it's like, yeah, it's hard to take the.
Yeah, it's hard to take the battery out because they don't want to. They're all monitoring devices.
You gotta unscrew it and all this stuff and take the back off.
And
from the front off.
That's right. So this Snowden guy who's coming out talking about Project Prism, he's sort of revealing, he's not revealing just how bad it is. I mean, they are literally listening to you all the time and in the weirdest ways. And not even the best people, but black market people, okay? I was talking to a girl probably a couple months ago, and she said that her father always knew, like she thought her father was a good hacker, basically. But basically, the father always knew what was in her Facebook messages, what was who she was in contact with, and with her text messages and stuff like that.
And that was after she changed her password and stuff, right? Like
Exactly. Yes. Even if she changed her password, her father would know that she changed her password. And I personally know from dealing with these, what I think are COINTELPRO agents operating on Facebook, they have full access to everything you're doing. Absolutely. And so if they want to target you, they can target you. All right.
Fucking A.
Bloody amazing.
Thanks for that, Border. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Definitely food for thought.
I just gave that dude a subscription. I didn't even know who that guy was. Awesome.
Yep. We got problems on this planet. We better solve for them real soon now. Stop consenting to them running the show.
So Gandalf, what does Mossad want us to do about this?
Well, stop talking about it.
Yep. We got problems on this planet. We better solve for them.
First rule of
real
Fight
soon
Club.
Now.
First.
Stop consenting to them running the show.
Oh, Roof, you got an echo, bro.
Yeah, you do.
So Gandalf, what does Mossad want us to do? Oh, that's because I lost the page. I had to go back to the live chat and I had to mute. Sorry. Should be good now.
Sounds better now.
Thanks for that, Border. He said Border Chaos said that was from 6 years ago.
Wow. Oh my God. And yet
that was 6 years ago. Who even knows what state they're at now?
Yeah, really.
Welcome, Giraffe. I am Giraffe89. Yes, you're definitely late to the party, hun. You're going to want to go back. We covered some really interesting and good stuff. You might want to skip past the first 30 minutes of our chitty chat banter before we get into the meat of the topic. But yeah, I play some Barry Trower. Oh, by the way, for anybody who is interested, in the description box is the link to the full Barry Trower lecture. I really urge you guys, if you're not familiar with the details, if you're interested in the gory details of exactly how the Wi-Fi, the millimeter wave, microwave communication technology is being used, go check out Barry Trower. He's the guy. He is literally the go-to guy for the goods on what that shit is all about. One other thing, I was chatting with a friend of mine, a good friend, in real life, good friend. He was asking me, have you heard the AI program, the Alexa and Siri, the Google Alexa and the other one is Siri, right? Oh, holy fuck. I almost forgot to mention. This is where did I hear this? In the University of Louisiana, I think, or was St. Louis or someplace like that. The university campus is going to be installing the Alexa-enabled systems in every fucking dorm room. Every single dorm room.
Yeah, I heard about that.
You did?
I mean, I heard that, I forget which university it was also, but yeah, I'd heard something about installing these spy devices everywhere. Just getting people used to being spied on, I guess.
Holy crap. I mean, every single dorm room is now going to be this. They're installing this campus wide, they said. Let me see if I can find the article real quick. We got a few minutes left. Give me a second. Let me try to pull this article up. Get my computer to keep up with my clickety clicks. Oh, and next week, Amy, do we have global for next week?
I don't have anybody specific. Well, wait a minute. Yes. Mark will be here next week. I'm sorry. Yes.
All right. So Mark has been doing a lot of digging into the QAnon LARPing going on with Liz Crokin, Tracy Beans, and SGT, and this other guy, Baruch the Scribe.
Right.
Mark has been going down that rabbit hole, so he's going to bring us up to speed on that shit.
Yep. It should be a good show next week.
Let me see if this search comes up. St. Louis University installs Amazon Echo Dots campus-wide, Fortune magazine. Oh, this was fuck, who was that I heard that from? Can't remember. Here we go. The first college university in the nation is installing Alexa-enabled Amazon Echo Dot in every single dorm room across campus. St. Louis University, a private four-year university in Missouri, unveiled a plan to install 2,300 intelligent assistant-enabled Echo Dot in resident halls and student apartments before classes begin later this month. The Alexa-enabled Echo Dot will be programmed to answer over 100 specific questions about the campus and student activities, such as the hours of the library or a list of upcoming public lectures. The program, the first of its kind in the nation, because it will include every residence on the school's campus, is managed by Amazon's Alexa for Business and supported by Amazon Web Services, AWS, which means students don't have to know how to set up Alexa or Dot or the Echo Dot. Instead, the devices will be operated by a central system not tied to any student's individual account and won't retain personal information. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I'm just allergic to bullshit.
Yes.
Additionally, the university says the Echo Dots are operated at no cost to students, of course.
Of course.
Of course. It's free and it's convenient. Let us just
spy on you.
Let us just put one of these right behind the toilet while we're at it.
Yeah, really.
Last spring, the school conducted a pilot program putting the devices in resident hall rooms. School administrators say students responded to the test run with positive feedback. Of course they did.
Of course.
Arizona State University also tried something similar last year, installing 1,600 Echo Dots in engineering students' live workspaces during the 2017-2018 school year. Even though the pilot program received positive reviews, the school notes that the students with privacy concerns about intelligent assistants like Alexa can unplug the device and store it during the school year if they feel uncomfortable having it in their rooms.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, as long as you don't plug it back in, because I'm pretty sure there's a battery, like, your clock. Your clock.
Yes.
You unplug your clock temporarily and plug it back in, and it maintains the time.
Yep.
Okay, that's some serious 1984 type shit, man.
Did I? Yeah. I mean, are you guys feel like lab rats yet?
No, because I don't consent to any of it.
That's Amy's fine print, everyone.
That's right. I don't consent.
Don't you get that tattooed on your forehead right next to the 666?
Yeah, the 666. That's it.
Oh, it was the shill Press for Truth that I heard this from.
Press for Truth, eh? Well, did you guys hear about, did you guys ever watch that SGT report video where he's being interviewed by No More News, and they say that apparently anyone who claims that, oh, you got an echo, I think. But no.
You're up in connection.
Oh, shoot.
Well, you
my hang up.
Oh, I'm echoing.
My page just went blank.
No way.
Computer is, yeah, we're at the end of the show anyway. You know, I don't even know if I can pull that out because my completely broadcast.
I can't hear a word you're saying, Aaron. Not a word. What?
Thing.
Well, maybe we should call this the end of the show. Aaron is not. Oh, this echo is driving me nuts.
Amy, am I coming in all right?
I'm sorry, what did you say, Daniel?
Am I coming in all right?
Yeah, you're coming in just fine.
Okay, that's strange. Both of you guys are cutting in and out.
Wow, no, you sound fine to me, and Aaron is cutting out like crazy.
Well, I guess in Israel we got better internet connections.
Maybe. I think. Who knows? I do know that I'm echoing back. And I don't know why.
Well, I say we cut her down then, everyone.
Yeah, I think it's time to call it end. And thanks everybody for showing up. Mittens, I'm so glad that you came and listened in. And all the other people, Porter, Juxtapose, Adelaide. Oh gosh, there's so many.
Oh God, Amy, you're breaking up so bad.
Oh well.
Well, you guys, if you don't ever hear from us again, we're at the FEMA camp, all right?
Say what?
If nobody ever hears from us again, we're at one of the FEMA camps.
That's it. All right. I don't know, Aaron. Can you shut it down? Love always. I don't know that we can get him to shut it down.
Roof, before they track you, pull the cord from the back of your computer, bro.